Let's speak now to Andrew Levy. He's a former senior British diplomat, experience of the region and international conflict resolution. Andrew, thank you. In terms of this situation, feeling very much like it's on a knife edge at the moment. We were just hearing there from Dr. Murdag Ansari about the concerns about Iran's reaction to any ground offensive by Israel. In your diplomatic career, how does this fit in to concerns about a geopolitical tipping point?
We are at a very unusual place where the relative power of the US has declined, even as though its absolute economic power and military power has increased over the decades. We have China, we have, Russia is asserting itself, as you know, and China has become economically extremely powerful, but not powerful enough by any means to take over the world-leading role of the US. And in that context, we see what's going on in the Middle East. What's happened in Israel is maybe unparalleled since the foundation of the state in 1948, so 75 years ago, or since 50 years ago, the Yom Kippur War. At any rate, we're talking decades. Most of us were either not born or were quite young at those times. And so it is very dangerous indeed, no question.
In terms of that multipolar world that we've been talking about for decades now with regard to geopolitics, this idea that power and strength will be divvied away from the West increasingly, like you said there, the stronger China economically, Russia feeling emboldened by its actions in Ukraine. We've actually seen Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping of China standing alongside together in recent days, talking about infrastructure projects, the Belt and Road Initiative. If we did see Iran tipping much more visibly into the situation that's happening in Israel, what concerns do you have about the knock-on effects we might see eastwards with this emboldening?
It could be absolutely enormous. I think just to comment on multipolar world, a multipolar world is chaos. People talk about power, spheres of influence and multiple powers. With the technology that we have, the intercontinental ballistic missiles, the nuclear weapons, the extraordinary communications technology, industrial technology, transport technology, all these things that link us together, either you break those links completely and fall back into a bit like the Roman Empire thought it was the world, but of course it wasn't. Or you accept that we're in a world which has to, on the one hand, cooperate, but on the other hand, needs some kind of overarching power as a backstop, if you like. And that's really what the US has been. Many controversial things the US has done, of course. There is no alternative. And the UN, relies on the US backing it. So the UN isn't really an alternative. So I think if the US can't get a grip, and of course the US needs help, it needs help from Europe, it needs help from Japan, other countries, it needs Xi Jinping in China to understand that there are limits and he can't push them too far, or it will be to his disadvantage and his country's disadvantage and the world's. And of course it needs the Iranian regime in this context absolutely to not cross those red lines that we were hearing about in the previous interview.
And just to bring up that point about a multipolar world being chaos, Andrew, this isn't meant to be directly provocative to you, but I'm just asking this question. Is it because we're based in Britain? You're a former British diplomat, I'm a British journalist, we're talking from the West here, that we think that sounds like chaos? Obviously, somebody from China or Russia or Iran might have a different point of view.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a very good question. It's very fair. And none of us can totally escape where we came from, I suppose. I try, I'm sure you do, to look at it from a wider perspective. And we meet many people and have worked with many people, I'm sure you have, around the world. And, chaos is chaos, right? Now, I'm making a prediction, if you like. Yeah, but you're seeing it, aren't you? We're seeing the limits of US power, or the attempt to test the limits of US power by Putin, by Xi Jinping, by others, by the Iranian regime, even by Hamas, if you like, as an entity or as an armed group. And the question then is, well, how does one respond? Now, the Israeli-Gaza situation, we can discuss that. It's horrific. Let's just say that. Um, the wider context, which it all sounds a bit cold-blooded, doesn't it? Talking about the geopolitical context and international law and all these things, but they matter enormously. And this, what we're seeing, on the one hand, is a horrific human tragedy, a horrific political mess, and on the other hand, we're seeing in microcosm what kind of chaos you get in a multipolar world. It's not the first time, of course, something horrific has happened in that area, and that's happened on the US watch. So, not everything has been anything like perfect. That's not the point. But if you think things can't get worse, that's always a dangerous position to take, I think.
A difficult question, well tackled there, Andrew. Andrew Levy, former British diplomat, thank you for your time.
Thank you.